First of all, I'd like to just welcome everyone here. This has been a long journey for many of us, and welcome to Washington, welcome to the Capitol Hill, and welcome to the Rayburn House Office building. I'd like to extend on behalf of the walk our deep appreciation to the representative from our district in Western Massachusetts who helped us to get this space today. Representative James McGovern, 4th District of Massachusetts. I'm sorry, 2nd District. Second District of Massachusetts, and to Jennifer Walters, his senior legislative assistant, who has worked with us for weeks now as we've been coming back and forth and refining our invitations, refining, getting the word out to other congressional people. Jennifer has been sort of a partner in this with Sister Clare and I really thank you, Jennifer, for all your dedication to your work and to us. Thank you. I'd like to also acknowledge representatives from Senator Kennedy's office whom we met, Rachel Goldenberg. We've been in her office and in her presence quite a few times. We have a representative from Representative Jim Gerlach's office of Pennsylvania, Sam Beaver here, and Eric Finns. Welcome to our gathering. This walk for a new spring and walk for Fukushima began for Walk for a New Spring, it started 50 days ago, and for No More Fukushima, it's about 35 days ago. We walked through rain, snow, ice, wind, terrific cold to spread this message of peace. And how do we live with, global warming, climate change, the risks of nuclear disasters. It's been a terrific walk. We've, in spite of the weather, in spite of a lot of this, challenges we've had all along the way, we're here today. Many of us have walked just about every step of both of these walks. And we're here, so we really need to give ourselves a hand. Thank you. Walk for a New Spring began about 12 years ago. It began in response to what happened in New York on September 11, 2001, when we found our community that surrounded the New England Peace Pagoda sort of, frozen in fear is the word, the image that keeps coming back to mind. Many of our neighbors, our friends, they were just locked into this space where they didn't know what to do or what to think. And a lot of the messages and information they were given was, how do we defend ourselves against future attacks? How do we make ourselves more militarily strong so that we can prevent this? And so we at the New England Peace Pagoda, under the leadership of Kata Shonen here, thought that walking and visiting and sharing information, sharing our thoughts would be how we could, respond to this catastrophe. And so began a Walk for a New Spring. This is our 12th year of walking from midwinter to early spring. This is our 3rd time in this 12 years of coming to Washington, D.C. Most of the time it's in the New England area, and often it's just in Massachusetts. But we're finding that over the years, communities are looking forward to our return. They're needing this notion that, you know, when they see us walking down the street, you know, there's this feeling that something is happening, something is going on. And so often I will get phone calls weeks before I've even started organizing, folks asking, are you coming this way this year? And often our walk is dictated on these calls coming in. So we're finding that people are searching for ways of finding peace, of making peace, of creating peace. And we're really happy to be a part of that. Today, because of time constraints and because many of our legislative aides have busy schedules and need to go, we're going to change our schedule around a little bit and ask Charmaine to come and talk about what is going on in her community. Charmaine began our walk with us in Massachusetts. On February 15th, she came and walked with us for the first 10 days. And during those 10 days, she shared the story of what is going on in her community there in the northern plains of the United States. Many communities were just, I mean, this was information that we had no idea was going on. We thought this kind of thing was happening somewhere else. We didn't realize it was happening in our own country, in the place that we call our breadbasket. And so we're so happy that Charmaine was able to not only come back, but to bring other people from her community, from this organization that she's a part of, the Defenders of the Black Hills. And I now invite Charmaine Whiteface to come forward and share her story. Thank you, Charmaine.
I didn't even say anything yet. Zumila Wobaga Unci up here. Oglala Tituan, Untitled. Okay, what I said was, I told you first I greet you all with a warm handshake from my heart, each one of you. And then I said, my name is a little wise one who makes a mark. Okay? And then I said, I am from the Oglala band of the people who speak the Lakota language of the Great Sioux Nation. We are, at one time we were a great nation in North America. And where we live now is on the northern Great Plains. And when I came to speak, be on the walk and speak, Sister Clare and Tim met me when I gave a presentation at a nuclear waste conference, because nobody knew what happened on the northern Great Plains. And before you leave, I have some information for you about more details. I mean, my whole talk could take a couple hours if I told everything, but I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. So tell me when if I go over, because there's so much to talk about. I happen to be a scientist. I used to teach at the college level. I taught science and math. And that itself was a rarity for a Native American person. We are Native Americans. When I give my speeches, I usually wear my traditional clothes, so I won't be mixed up with Hispanics or Iranians or Koreans or someone else. Because a lot of people think we are dead. We are extinct. And so we have been working on this issue for many, many years. And people know about the abandoned mines, uranium mines in the southwest with the Navajos. Well, that's about 1,000 miles south of us. On the northern Great Plains, we compose South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, and Wyoming. And our territory that we talk about, the one that I talk about, is our treaty territory. We have a treaty with the United States. And that treaty covered all of western South Dakota. All of western South Dakota was supposed to be for our absolute and undisturbed use and occupation, just for our people to live there. Our treaty was made in 1868. It was reaffirmed in a federal court in 2009. So it is still alive and well. What happened in our treaty territory, we have another treaty, 1851, that it also included Colorado and Nebraska and parts of Kansas. But in northern Colorado, there are all these abandoned open pit uranium mines, and we still consider that part of our territory. And so the shocker that when I tell people there are 3,272 open pit abandoned uranium mines, open, not closed, open. And in the southwestern Black Hills, one of these mines itself is a mile square. Think of how far away from here is a mile, and then make that in a square. And then make it about 7,500 feet deep. And there you have, I have pictures, that's what they all saw. You have an abandoned open pit uranium mine. Now the difficulty with open pit is that radioactivity is coming out. Remember, the half-life of uranium-238 is 428, it's 500 million anyway, 500 million years, 428,000, 500,000 years. So that uranium-238 by itself is giving off radiation, nuclear radioactive particles, radiation in the dust. When it rains, it runs off into the creeks and the rivers, or it soaks down into the aquifers. And this has been going on since the early 1960s. And they stopped doing this in the 70s. They just left. There have been no warning signs. I have to say have been because I know now there's one. I know of one warning sign. Okay? In this area where all these abandoned open pit uranium mines are, there's also more than 10,000 uncapped, unfilled, unmarked uranium exploratory wellholes, boreholes. Some of these are big enough. We have the pictures of a man to fall in. They explored for uranium, and some of them are that big. A man could fall in there, and they go down 600 to 800 feet deep. You'd need a whole lot of rope. Someone falls in there to get them out, but they would already have been exposed to how much radioactive contamination if they fell in there. I always think about a little rabbit hopping along and boom, it's gone, you know, fell into one of those boreholes, one of those exploratory boreholes, and there's more than 10,000. That's what I know, more than 10,000. Wyoming, the state of Wyoming, doesn't know exactly how many they have. That's why I have to say more than 10,000. Part of these were in North Dakota, part were in Montana, the northwestern corner of North Dakota, the southeastern corner of Montana. Well, there's quite a ways in Montana where all these are at. And then in Wyoming, probably the eastern half of Wyoming is just filled with these. And then in South Dakota. South Dakota, we have the Sacred Black Hills. We're called Defenders of the Black Hills. But our mission is to work on our whole treaty territory, this whole area. And so that's why I know about these things. Why we are coming to Congress is we wrote a bill. And among our membership, we have a man who is an environmental law professor. And we drafted a federal bill. We've drafted other federal bills before. I drafted one years ago for the grasslands, trying to protect the grasslands as wilderness. That's a new one. Nobody has ever protected the grasslands as wilderness. I have the bill if any of you want it, but that's a different issue. But Congressman Pallone helped us. Congressman Rahal helped us. I think Congressman Lee, when we lived in California, she was helping us. And this was 2001, so it was quite a while ago. So we know how to write bills. And we had our environmental law professor look at our bill. And he said, yes, he tweaked it, you know, here, there, and everywhere. And we have it ready, and I think you have a copy of it. Or if you don't, we can give you a copy.
Oh, I was just going to say, Charmaine's referring to this third sheet. Under the program,
I got it. What I'm handing you is some detailed information, and then at the back end of it is the actual bills. And at the back end is the actual bill. The reason why this bill needs to pass is because when the wind picks up that radioactive dust, it doesn't stop at the Missouri River or end of South Dakota. That radioactive dust is carried in the air, and it's carried over here. And when the rain or the snow, when that picks up, grabs a hold of that radioactive dust, it also brings it over here. So it's covering a lot more of the country and the food supply for all the people than just us, just Native people. We asked the CDC to come in to do a study about the cancer rates. And they said they couldn't come in because South Dakota doesn't have 1 million people. And we've already contacted our congressional people years ago, and they won't help us because it's a pro-uranium mining state. And what we're talking about is there needs to be a cleanup of all these abandoned open pit uranium mines. It's so simple, but they need to be cleaned up. And there are ways possible. There are researchers who have already done this in Germany. So they can be cleaned up. These abandoned open pit uranium mines can be cleaned up. When I was at a nuclear waste conference in Chicago, one of the other people said the Department of Energy still has $10 million left. That was $10 million left that was supposed to have been used for the waste at Yucca Mountain, but then they stopped. They stopped the waste from nuclear waste from going to Yucca Mountain. So there would be a source already in the Department of Energy. But we need a sponsor for this bill first before we can even, start looking at it. And that's why when Sister Clare and Tim asked me to come on this walk, I agreed to. Because more people need to know what is happening in the middle of the United States. What is happening right in the middle, called the breadbasket of the world. Wheat comes out of there, corn comes out of there, a lot of beef, a lot of ranchers. And that beef that's coming out of there, those ranchers, they feed their cattle copper sulfate so they can sell their cattle at market, so that the cattle will keep their brown color or their black color. If they don't, their fur is going to turn out gray, and that's wrong. I just heard on the news yesterday that they want to have more nutrition information on beef. And I was thinking, are they going to put on there how much radioactivity, how much radioactive grass have these beef been eating or drinking the water? Because there's nothing, there's no monitoring of any of this, any of the foodstuffs for radioactivity. And in our area, this is a big area. Massachusetts itself could probably fit in South Dakota at least 20 tons. Massachusetts could fit in my little reservation once. And we'd still have area left over. Our territory is huge. It's big. But that's all the easier for the wind to pick up those radioactive particles and carry them on the wind or in the snow and carry them over the area, all the whole United States. If the wind comes from the north, it's going to go to the south. If they come from the northwest, which they usually do on the jet stream, it swoops down and then it comes back up over New England, over DC. If we have a storm over there, we know in 3 or 4 days you're going to get it here. It comes that way. So our concern for these abandoned open pit uranium mines is not just for our people. Our people have the highest cancer rate in the nation. We have the statistics. Our people, my nation is dying from radioactive pollution. And the abandoned open pit uranium mines are only one way. There's a lot of other ways that we are being poisoned with radioactive pollution in the middle of the United States. My nation is called the Great Sioux Nation. If we are like the miner's canary for the rest of the country, we're going down with cancer. But it's not going to just affect us, it's going to affect everybody. And so we come here, I feel like a little messenger of doom. I said my name's going to be Charmaine Whiteface, MD. Charmaine Whiteface, messenger of doom pretty soon, So I'm coming here to ask for, to give you information. I can give you so much more information, but this is just only one issue. We need cleanup of those abandoned uranium mines. We need it for the whole nation, the whole country, not just for us, but for the whole country. But we need a sponsor. We need someone to take the opportunity to do something really good and sponsor this bill. If they sponsor this bill, then it will help everybody, not just us, but everybody. And so we need a sponsor, or 2, or 3, or 50, or 100. We need this bill, this little bill that you have, passed by the Congress. So I thank you. I thank you very much for listening. You got to meet a real Indian, not on TV. I brought with me my cousin Pam here, Pam Bluehorse, my sister Jackie Arpan, and my son sitting back there. His name is J.D. Goodhouse. And this is, their relationship to me is how we claim relatives. We claim relatives. Pam is my blood relative. Jackie is my Hunka sister. We claim relationship because this is the kind of relationship we have. I hope someday I can adopt you for my son, adopt him for my son, adopt her for my daughter. Then when we work together in this, because we are relatives, we really are relatives. When I breathe out, you breathe in, you breathe out. We're breathing in each other's breath. We're relatives. So when we finish praying, or when we finish a talk like this, we always have a word we say. That means we're all related. We say Mitakuye. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions?
We've got some reading to do.
Yes. Oh wait, let me give you. This is our little. Just so you know who Defenders is, and my email address is on the top. This is Defenders, Little Defenders of the Black Hills. We're a little environmental organization. We're combined native and non-native together in this way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have another, I think, legislative aide that come in. Could you tell me your name?
I'm Zach. I'm from Headline's office.
Oh, thank you, Zach. Zach from Congressman Markey's office, Massachusetts. Thank you. We'd like to sort of go back to where we were in the program. I'm glad that you got this opportunity to speak before the legislative aides had to leave. I'd like at this time to call on a young man who has come a long ways to walk with us. And before he came to the walk, he decided to go to the community of Fukushima. In many ways, what happened to Fukushima sort of set the tone for this particular walk. We realized that, you know, these aging nuclear power plants pose a grave risk to our communities. Many of them are past the lifespan that they were originally intended for. And so what happened at Fukushima opened our eyes to what could happen in our own communities. This man, Naoto Hamada, before he came on this walk, he wanted to go to Fukushima and just experience what the folks there were going through. And we are fortunate to have him here tonight, today, and on the walk, because he was able to share with many of us what was going on and how the people were dealing with it. And so I'd like to introduce Naoto Hamada and someone to interpret for him, Maiko. Miwa.
2年前、日本で大きな地震があって津波が起こり、たくさんの人が亡くなりました。
About 2 years ago, there was a big earthquake and tsunami happened in Japan, and a lot of people lost their lives.
そして、津波で亡くなっただけじゃなく、福島県では原発事故が起きました。
And not only that, there's a big nuclear power plant accident and explosion in Fukushima.
2年経った今では日本ではあたかも原発事故地震が収束したかのようになっています。
Many people, even in Japan, many people think it's over. Everything is under control, and all the survivors are recovering from the earthquake and tsunami and from the radiation pollution, but reality is not.
でも2年経った今でも福島県では放射能による被害がずっと出続けています。
The issues are still ongoing and continue to affect and destroying people's lives and land and food and everything in Fukushima.
で、検査をした子どもの4割の人の子どもの甲状腺に異常が出ています。
In Fukushima, 40% of the children who are examined have already shown the thyroid problems.
放射能は5年や10年経った後からどんどん被害が出てくると言われているので、これからさらにどんどん被害が出てくると思います。
It is expected to see more critical and severe health conditions among people in Fukushima within 5 to 10 years.
今福島県で起きているのは体の問題よりも心の問題だと思います。
What's scary is you don't see it right now, but it's destroying their health slowly over years. On the other hand, what really makes it obvious is the mental problem among Fukushima residents.
今福島県の人たちはずっと先の見えない不安と戦い続けています。
Many people are fighting against the fear of unknown and what's going to happen to their lives and the land.
人々は仕事を失って、自殺をしていく人がたくさんいます。
Many people lost their lives, their families, their home, their land, their job, and also hope for living. And in Fukushima, suicide rate is getting really high.
そして、考え方の違いで離婚してしまう夫婦がたくさんいます。
And because of the fear of and the different opinions within family member and relatives, divorce rate is also skyrocketing in Fukushima.
放射能は体を蝕むだけじゃなく人間関係をも引き裂いてしまいます。
Radiation is not only deteriorating their health, but also their heart, affecting their heart a lot.
そんな福島では今でも本当にたくさんの人がそこに住んでいます。
In Fukushima, it's believed to have dangerous level of radiation, but besides those government restricted area, a lot of people still live in Fukushima area.
福島県に住んでいる人には2通りの人がいます。
I saw about two different kind of people in Fukushima.
一つは、もう放射能や原発のことをほとんど考えることをやめてしまった人。
Many people live their lives as if nothing happened. In order to move on their lives, they just want to forget what happened and they just want to act nothing is affecting their house.
もう一つはそこから福島県から避難したいんだけど何らかの理由があって、そこから逃げられない人。
Some other people, they're hoping to evacuate from the area, but they have all entire families there. They have houses, their pets and everything. They can't evacuate for a lot of reasons.
その逃げられない理由の一つに福島県の人たちがとても人とのつながりを大切に生きているということがあります。
And a lot of people are living with a really strong connection with the family member and relatives.
人とのコミュニティを大切に生きているから自分だけ避難するということができません。
They think their community is very important to their lives, so that even if you want to evacuate, they can't evacuate by themselves. They always think about the community, so a lot of people decided to stay there.
震災以降、福島県の原発はずっと危険な状態が続いています。
After the earthquake, the first explosion, number 4 reactor is under really dangerous condition. If any shake happen, then it's gonna explode in the morning.
その事故が起きてしまうと、広島に落ちた原爆の約1万5000発分ぐらいの放射能が出るんじゃないかと言っている人もいます。
If the number 4 reactor, something happened to the number 4 reactor right now, that's gonna be more than 15,000 more than Hiroshima bombs.
それが起きると、もう間違いなく日本はほぼ壊滅、住めなくなってしまう。
If that happened, I think Japan is gonna be end. That's it.
日本だけでなく世界中に放射能が。
And also not only Japan, but it's gonna explode. The radiation is gonna explode to everywhere in the world and affect everybody's health.
日本は地震がとても多い国なので、日本でそれが起きましたが、アメリカの原発でもそれが起きる可能性があると思います。
This was happening in Japan because we have a lot of earthquake and tsunami, but also it could happen anywhere in the world if there is a nuclear power plant.
それが起きるかもしれないという危険性がずっと僕たちが持ち続けていることを忘れないでください。
We can never forget that there is a danger of same thing happen like Fukushima, as long as we have a nuclear power plant in the land.
そしてもしそれがこの近くで起きてしまったら、自分のことと思って想像してみてください。
Imagine if same thing happened here, right here, or wherever you live or you have family members. It's really dangerous to think.
なので、福島県の起きた事故から僕たち一人一人が、学び勉強し、自分たちがどうするかを決めていくことが大切だと思います。
This is the chance that we can learn what happened in Fukushima and then move on to the next step to avoid the second Fukushima anywhere in the world.
2011年3月11日をきっかけに世界から原発がなくなっていった日にしましょう。
I hope this 311 in Fukushima is the day that everybody think and change their mind, and then hopefully no nuclear power plants or no nuclear weapon in the world.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you so much.
So, in that spirit, it comes to you, into your heart.
This is Southern Peacecranes. This is Southern Peacecrane symbol of our prayer.
Yes.
So in Japan, people making Southern Peacecrane together for wishes for peace. So one of the friends from California, particularly for this peace work, they send him to us. So we keep working with this peacecrane, go this Southern Peacecrane together. So the kind of symbolic gesture like Lakota people, Tabakotai, put together to pray. So that's our peace symbol. Just I want to show.
This was actually made to be given to President Obama, and we were going to just take it to the guard station and just give it to them to give to the president, but they are not allowed to take anything. And so we've talked to Jennifer, and she's going to work with us to see if we can, through her office, through Congressman James McGovern's office, to get this to the president. And we have a letter here that we would like to, that is addressed to the president, and along with these cranes.
The letter simply explains the cranes and explains the books.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll work with you and we'll see what we can do. I know this is important to the congressman, so we'll do everything that we can. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
So in conclusion, I think we've been given an opportunity, a real opportunity to make a difference in the world. This opportunity is a gift to us in many ways from the Lakota Nation to be able to help with their survival, because this uranium dust is about survival of their people and ultimately the survival of all of us. And so if we're going to make a change, we're walking for peace, but if we really want to make a change, this is where this change is going to start. And I appreciate and want to thank you again for this gift of this opportunity. Thank you all for being here and being a part of this, sharing of this opportunity.
I'd like to make a picture with you. Oh, sure. Are you going to release it in our